Welcome to the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. If you desire to intimately connect with yourself, significant other, children, family, friends, community, and higher power, then this is the show for you. We explore intimate topics, inspiring life stories, spirituality, and insightful tips on strengthening relationships. The show is hosted by Dr. April and her co-host, Coach K. Let's get this episode of the Bringing Intimacy Back show started. We share with you today the secret power to intimacy to create the life you love or love the life you create. Now here's your host, Dr. April, and her co-host, Coach K.
To the Bringing Intimacy Back show, where intimacy is real. Thank you guys so much for joining us today on this bright and beautiful Thursday. I'm so excited about the topic, how to save 1 year of your life. Wow. I know you're thinking, what is that going to be about? Well, you're going to have to hold on for a little bit before we get into that topic. Just to let you know, it will just be me. I have to, Coach K wasn't able to make it today. However, I have a wonderful guest who is going to talk to us about how to save 1 year of our life. When you think about your life, you think about saving 1 year. Wow, does that really matter? And in reality, it does, because every moment is precious. And you may think, well, how does that relate to our topic or this show about bringing intimacy back? It relates so much in that second word, the one that I highlight a lot, is intimacy. And intimacy truly means being in the present moment. And when we're truly in the present moment, that means our mind, our body, the atmosphere, it's all, we feel good and we feel safe when you're truly intimate. And so we're going to talk about that aspect in a way that you may not, realize. And especially if you're out there and then you're female and you're like, should I listen to this show? This is something that we're going to talk about that I'm pretty sure has definitely affected you. So also on the show, we of course talk about different charities. And one way of also saving your life, or also making your life longer, is by giving. And you're like, what do you mean by giving? When you give to others, you get back so much more. So there's a great organization called Giving Tuesday, which it unleashes the power of radical generosity around the world. What it does, it helps people build a community to build a world of generosity, of everyday life. So it helps in giving to your neighbor. So definitely check them out. It's www.givingtuesday.org. And definitely it can provide some insight into helping you strengthen and lengthening your life. So I know you're trying to say, well, what is this topic? Well, we're going to go for a break. And when we come back, we're going to learn how to save 1 year of your life with Isabella Thor. We'll be back in a moment.
Are you in a relationship with someone that you see often, but you feel so disconnected with them? Bringing intimacy back can help you bring the intimacy back to your relationship. BIB is dedicated to inspire, enlighten, and encourage intimate connections. Live shows, weekly guest speakers with over 29,000 downloads. We can help promote your products and services, grow your business and clientele with BIB. Want to become part of the BIB family? You can now sponsor with us.
Welcome back to the Bringing Intimacy show, where intimacy is real. Welcome, Isabella.
Hi, Dr. April. Really nice to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you. So you're a practicing, functioning nutritional therapist?
That's right, yeah.
Awesome. Yes. And the thing that I like about you is that you guys have just, heard her, but she has a passion to help, especially the female population. Yes. And I know you work with females and couples and helping them Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. My passion is to help women who are experiencing period pain and helping not just women around the world, but everyone around the world to change their understanding about what a normal period is and feels like. Guess what? It should not be painful.
Mm.
And my goodness, the reactions I get when I say that to anyone of any age.
Yes, yes, definitely, yes. And so people are wondering, well, what does this have to do with intimacy? So,
Mm.
can you define your terminology of intimacy and how this topic relates?
Well, I think just overall intimacy, what I think of is that is the fruit that comes from love, that comes from trust.
Hmm.
And when it comes to the monthly cycle for women, that is something that we as women barely even talk about with one another.
Right.
And that is pretty tragic. And we should, because we are in pain and it's unnecessary and it's normalized. And that's the intimate part that totally relates to bringing intimacy back into our lives and our conversations.
Okay. You know what I was just thinking about? Because I
Mm.
talk with women of all ages, and many women don't really understand their bodies. And I think the first introduction, and even as myself, of my body, is that from your mother talking to you about your body or your sisters, is that period.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so,
Exactly.
yeah. So, yes. And so you learn quickly, oh, your body's going to hurt,
Mm.
once a month, and your life is going to be yada, yada, yada. And that's the first introduction into the intimate parts of your body. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. That's a really good point to bring out as well. It is the first time we talk about our bodies with our mothers. Well, in my case, honestly, that conversation like almost didn't happen. So even that for many, many women, girls, I guess, um, isn't really happening enough. And if it does happen, it's like you said, it's about how painful it's going to be and how you need to prevent the mess. It sounds like a very anxiety provoking
Right.
conversation. Um, and it really doesn't have to be that way. It's just because our wonderful moms, they didn't know another way.
Right.
Or more likely, their conversation with their mother was even less informative, holistic. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And it's somewhat that sometimes I just even remember I started my period at a very young age, at 9.
oh my goodness.
Yes, yes. And I was
Wow.
a tiny little thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was back in, or it still would have been the 70s. Yeah. And my mom gave me these long things that were like, I don't know, very long things.
Very long, yes.
Yes, and I could barely walk in it. I just remember, yeah,
Wow.
even my dad said, she can't go to school like that. Yeah.
How do you think we've been doing things for the entire time? Like, she can't go to school? My goodness, we can do a lot.
Yes, yeah, yeah. But then also the pain that it brought on, and
Mhm.
even fast forward years later of how my daughter had a lot of pain, even to the
Yeah,
more degree than I did, and how she just got all sick. So, yeah, so walk us
very
through
common.
this. Yeah, how
Mhm.
should we be talking about it and preparing our daughters, our, yeah, nieces, our, yeah.
Oh, I like this. In that first conversation, that's a really good question. As a slightly older adult, I like to start with a question. When in any part of our lives is pain in a particular part of our body normalized?
Mhm.
Ever normal for you to have basically chronic pain without having a chronic condition diagnosed upon you? no one can give me an answer to that. And that's because pain is a signal from the body. And from what I could tell of you when you started describing your story, it sounds like you're someone who already knows how to read their body very well. And that is a skill that should probably belongs in that first conversation when we sit down with our mothers and maybe sisters as well. And it should be, how do we read our bodies to know if it needs something? And when I talk to my clients, most of them just don't know that the pain is not normal, and it's a sign mostly of malnourishment.
Wow.
That's where I begin.
Wow, that's breathtaking because I mean that's just I think my generation or whatever, they told us to suck it out. This is what childbirth is gonna be like. So you're
Yeah.
telling a little 9-year-old.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm still getting over that you're 9. I know some people get it really young, but like 9, and that pain from within when you're
Right.
9, how did you mentally handle that? It's really something.
Yeah, well, you said suck it up. It's when you're gonna have a child.
Yeah. This is nothing.
Yeah, you're like, I'm just a baby. I'm still playing with dolls. Why are we?
Oh, that's right. Oh my goodness, dolls. Yes. Yes. And that's where it began. And then and especially, I love this question. Nobody's ever asked me about what that conversation should look like. The first
Right.
one. I just love that so much. So, yes, pain within. If you have that pain, then, and often cravings, food cravings as well, these are all signs from your body. The biggest ones, most common cravings, for example, are chocolate. And there's a very strong reason for why it's chocolate. It's high in certain minerals, including magnesium, and things that build our blood, things that support our body in creating the hormones it needs to have a healthy cycle. So I think in that first conversation, you would have that. If you feel like you crave this, then maybe throughout this next month, you need to have more of these sorts of foods to help your body just have enough nutrients to support this very wonderful natural process. And make no mistake, this process is incredibly resource heavy. Every month, it's a preparation for your body to have and support a life within you. Make no mistake, this is very resource heavy. Absolutely. And not to mention that, and at the end of it, or technically at the beginning, you bleed. I mean, it's just like, and then obviously, it's very intuitive that you know that you have to build more blood within you. So the very first thing I usually am helping my clients who are now adults with is remineralizing their bodies. I want them to get a really nice variety of minerals. I want them to get the minerals that help them detoxify their bodies. I want to get the minerals in their bodies that help bring the good stuff into their cells, because minerals are they do everything for us. And if that foundation is not met, then, like I said, the body has priorities,
Right.
and it wants to keep you breathing first,
Right.
your brain online, right? And other than that, you can be in pain for most of the time. You can walk over a floor of glass and have shards in your feet, and your body can help you block that pain. But you have to remove those shards of glass. You have to heal the cuts and nourish your body as well. So your body will prioritize. It's very, very resource efficient, I would say. Absolutely.
Awesome. So one of the things that you said that I think we need to say throughout is that periods should not hurt. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not normal. I mean, it's when you have a period and you're having cramps, that's not normal. And we always thought it was normal. It's like retraining my brain, But
right.
you said, it's something in the sense of malnutrition. You know, one thing I noticed myself was this is back in the day. I'm in a whole different stage now, my life. But
Oh yeah.
if my feet were cold,
Right.
I would have more pain.
Mm.
You know, yeah, which also
Yeah.
led, of course, to me being iron deficient.
There you go.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
you
but like
go.
you said,
Connection.
yes, yes, and there's probably other things that maybe I was deficient on also, but
Mm,
yeah, but like you said, that it's so important. And then how this
absolutely.
relates to, because I know you also work with couples and people with
Yeah.
fertility issues. Yeah,
Mm.
explain that connection.
Well, I would love to explain that connection, but I would also like to point out something that is really valuable. And it's we all, as women who did not know pain was not normal, we have used multiple kinds of things to help ease our pain. Like you mentioned, cold feet makes your cramps works. Okay, so what do we do? Apply heat in most cases, right?
Right.
And make sure we're overall warm. And think about a older person who has a chronic condition and versus a young child of 9, for example. Um, an older person dealing with a chronic condition is a lot more susceptible to what? Temperature,
Mm-hmm.
climate, absolutely. And why is that? Because their overall body reserve to deal with that resiliently is a lot lower. And that's why we as women are sensitive also to these things like cold and heat and climate, and that's what helps us feel better. It's because we are fragile. Our
Okay.
body reserves are low. So I'd just like to point out that even though those things are helping us in the moment deal with the pain, it's also a sign that we are not resilient and strong and nourished. We are fragile in the moment. And we are not the 9-year-old or 25-year-old, let's say, who can go out into the, what is it? It's very popular these days to go into the ocean, cold
Okay.
dipping. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
go in and like come out and feel great and not feel rheumatoid, tingles all over.
Right.
Yeah, it's very, very important to point that out.
Right. And I know you were saying earlier, or you talk about when we're in pain,
Hmm.
most of us back in the day used to grab painkillers, such as,
Yes.
the ones out there. Yeah.
Yeah. The ones out there. There's like 7. I wonder what it was like, in the 70s. I wonder if the variety was as, abundant as now.
I think I started taking painkillers when I was young.
You
Okay.
were okay.
Yeah, yes, which
Wow.
then I think built up my tolerance,
That's
which
right.
got passed on to my daughter, who
Mm,
had to take more than I took. In fact, she
that's
had to
right.
even get a prescription to take at a higher dose. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
before, there was the decision to put her on birth control to help deal with some of these symptoms of,
Oh my.
she also used to get physically sick. Yeah, but
Well, I mean, of course, she's deficient in birth control. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. So,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So tell us how this all, relates because
Oh, I love that. The painkiller one,
yes,
the tolerance. Oh my goodness. If I had a quarter for every, yeah. So the tolerance is real, and more than the tolerance, which is already concerning. Okay, step back. Here's more of the conspiratory nature, but it is still very true and very, very legit. You can find it. If you look at pharmaceutical companies,
right.
what are NSAIDs, which are painkillers, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, like ibuprofen, for example, Advil. What are they? They are classified, known as the gateway drugs to prescribed painkillers.
Hmm.
So they're not, so it's kind of, the companies are happy that you have to develop,
Right.
you get that, you need
Yeah, I
them
get
more and
that.
more. Yeah,
Yes.
so that's one big problem. But the other one is that what I see with people who have been taking it a long time, they also have like really bad long-term side effects that are not just that their tolerance is getting too high, but also their digestive system, small
Mm,
intestinal stuff,
right.
leaky gut. I see a lot of women who are developing so many food allergies. I'm one of them. I
Okay.
just kept accumulating them, and I did not see the connection. Um, Leaky gut is like a is like an umbrella for so many other digestive disorders.
Right.
And this is something we need to say again very clearly, just like how we need to say, which I think is a great point you mentioned, that we need to repeat that periods should not be painful. What we
Right.
need to say again and again also is that long-term use of NSAIDs and painkillers has negative side effects. This is something just we don't say enough.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what do you say to the women out there who said, we've had these painful periods, we're having
Mm,
problems. I go to the doctor and they say, take this, painkiller,
yeah.
or it's normal, or just stay home from work, or whatever the case may be. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I would like to add a few. just to make it more spicy. So, like you said, with your daughter, oh my goodness, my heart goes out to you. Birth control,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
Painkillers, absolutely. And in some cases, depending on what you're diagnosed with, for example, there are things like more serious conditions that all share this painful period symptom like PCOS, endometriosis,
Exactly.
and PMDD, which is not
Yes.
talked a lot about, but it's basically PMS on steroids, basically.
Right.
And what do they prescribe? Steroid-like things
Mm.
to manage it. Okay, so that was the little spice. Lots of options out there to throw your hormones out of whack and make you feel better just for a little bit. Most cases, it helps people, women, feel better for a very short time. But
Mhm.
just like the prescription painkillers, it wears off.
Right.
Something else has to be tried. And what do I give them instead? So while I'm supporting them nutritionally, minerally, and all the other 7 foundations, let's say, of health, I I give them right away cramp bark tincture. Um,
Say that one more time.
it's called cramp bark tincture.
Okay.
Very conveniently named, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
You can find some really nice options out there. Um, Wherever you buy your things, it's a herb.
It's
Um,
herb. Okay.
Absolutely, and it does help a lot. It is absolutely not as effective as a painkiller, 100%, but it will get you through the healing journey. So we get you to that painless time, which can take minimum a month. But honestly, I find when I work with people is that for every year that you've been dealing with something chronic, it honestly takes you about a month to recover for
Right.
every year. So it can be quite a while. But still, I'm always amazed that women I work with who have been having this for, I don't know, longest was like 15 years, I think. And she got better within 5 months, which is just jaw dropping and how
Oh,
tells me how resilient our bodies are and how ready they are to heal. It's a really good, wonderful thing about life.
wow, wow, wow. She get better, and that is going from painkillers to minerals. I'm assuming, does physical activity also impact?
physical activity physical activity is important as a so I have these 7 foundations of health, and physical activity is something that I put within the 7th foundation called sleep, stress, and movement. And physical activity is what helps move things around your body,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to estrogen. It's one of those things that helps us deal with too much
Right.
estrogen. Yeah, it seems like you know about that, and that's really wonderful. Um, a, a bit of movement, I like to call it the magic 30, you just need to sweat in any way you like, honey. Okay, anyway, 15 minutes. And then you have to take the other 15 minutes to clean up. Ideally, take a shower. You need to get the sweat off of you because that's a part of the whole thing. And I always start usually recommending that 3 times a week minimum.
Right.
And ideally get that up a bit, but 3 times is honestly golden if you can do that.
Awesome. So can you share with us, what are the 7 foundations? Because you like drop that and people are like,
oh, sure.
What are they? Yes.
Yeah, no problem. So I guess the first 4 are all about what comes within you to nourish you. So we're talking about your nutrition, the deep nutrition that's in your food, macros, macronutrients, micronutrients, and all that. Then we have your digestion. Are you absorbing what you're taking in? This is incredibly important. I can give you the best gold of nutrients and it could just go straight down into the toilet. Then we have mineral status. This is also related to nutrition because minerals are a micronutrient. And again, this is where I'm giving you everything to build your blood and help you build that lining of your uterus, help you shred it, help you make hormones. There's just so many things that minerals do. Now, the 4th one that's part of the 4th foundation is hydration. That's also something that comes into your body, has a massive effect on your hormones, on your lymphatic system, so much. I make sure you're getting enough for you, and also that it's also being absorbed. You can drink water that also goes straight through you and actually depletes you of minerals if the water itself isn't mineralized. So yeah, lots to say there, but moving on. The fifth foundation is blood sugar regulation. Now, when I get into the 5th and the 6th foundation, that's where we start talking about overall processes that are resulting from the first 4 foundations that you take into your body. So the 5th one is blood sugar regulation. This is something that's surprising to many of my clients, and honestly, most people out there. You don't have to only be a diabetic to worry about your blood sugar regulation. It's incredibly powerful, especially if you're having hormonal issues, skin issues. Oh my goodness, like it's the bee's knees. Okay, so and then we got the 6th foundation, also a result of all the other previous ones, and that's your fatty acid balance. And this is something that's again systemically will alter how you deal with inflammation in your body. Huge topic on its own. And then we have the final one, which we talked about first, which is sleep, stress, and movement. It's kind of like the crown that brings it all together. And honestly, I have a hard time figuring out whether or not you need to sleep better first or be nourished first. I mean, I'm leaning towards that you need to be nourished first because then you can sleep. But it's such a interdependent system. It's so nuanced. And I'd like to make one more note, and that is in these 7 foundations of health that I teach and I go through in my program with my clients. I have an 8th one that's kind of honorary. And I think you would appreciate this a lot because I listened to some of the overall topics you talk about on the podcast is very related to this. And it's mindset and how incredible that is in just getting you through and recruiting your own mind to help you find solutions. Be resourceful, be decisive, not use indecision and confusion to keep you stuck, or ask yourself the wrong questions. For example, why does this always happen to me?
Right.
And then you're recruiting your mind to ask yourself, well, find evidence for that. This is exactly why it's happening to you. You're a bad person. So-and-so said this to you, so of course you feel bad. I don't know.
Right.
So instead, I like to help my clients ask the right questions to themselves. For example, a reverse to that question is, how can I make this smoother, easier, better for myself?
Hmm.
How can this be not inevitable, but resolvable
Right.
and can make me stronger overall? So yeah, that was a lot. That's those are all the parts.
Wow. I mean, that was a mouthful, but yes, but that
Yeah,
was so impactful. And what you do is so
great.
needed, so helpful.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying?
thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's definitely, even in the sense of helping couples and women in that next stage of
Yeah.
trying to have children and all that aspect. And if that
Yeah,
process is not stressful, it
exactly.
impacts future generations. You know what I'm saying? It's just, yeah, it's a ripple
Yeah.
effect.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you for saying that. Intergenerational impact.
Right.
100%. That's exactly the thing, honestly, that gets me most into doing this work. Other than, honestly, it's worth mentioning that I've been in that really dark place where many women are, where it's like the extreme end of period pain, PMDD, deep depression.
Right.
Like you're a different person when your system is out of balance. So, and having the will to live every day is big. That's like the big money, okay?
Right.
For you, you absolutely belong here. This pain is not forever, and maybe we can go into how this does save you a year of your life and saves you money if you stop letting yourself be in pain. Stop letting other people let you stay there by thinking it's normal. It's not normal.
Mm.
Um, a year of your life, let's talk about that. So, 30 years ish, we have. Average woman has about 30 years, give or take a few kids, give
Right.
or take how long many factors come into it. But we'll have one period per month.
Right.
Okay, so that's 12 a year. And 30 years, well, that's 360 days.
Right.
Okay, so let's say, oh, sorry, that must have sounded confusing. I
Well,
meant
20, yeah.
one day, yes, so one day of painful periods where you're curled up once a month. You're curled up, you're canceling plans, you're missing work.
Hmm.
One day a month, 12 times a year, over 30 years. That's 360 days of missed work, fun, etc. And um, uh, a really good friend of mine pointed out to me that's even if you're working for minimum wage, that's at least $40,000 right there. And even though the value really is your time, literally imprisoned in pain, unless you're taking painkillers, just delaying the pain for more chronic conditions to deal with later.
Hmm.
Um, that's how you save a year of your life. If you start listening to your body, start knowing how to read your body
Right.
and meet your body's needs.
Mm. That was just powerful. And I was just also thinking about when we're in pain, how we
Yeah.
talk to our body. You know what I'm saying? The
Ooh,
negative, yeah, and just how your program
yeah.
can help us have a better relationship with our body, which is, to be
Yes.
honest, we only get one body. You know, so yeah.
What? What are you talking about? Yes, absolutely.
Yes, yes,
Like,
yes,
why do we walk around like that's not obvious? It's just that is such a good point.
yes, and how we should
Ah,
appreciate it and stuff. So
yeah,
yes. So
yeah.
if people are out there listening and they're
Mhm.
wanting to know, how do we connect with you?
Sure thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
let's let us know.
Connection. Let's see. So I am really happy to have lots of free resources, and I'm always continuing to add to those resources on my website. Blogs, email list. It's all about getting you to the next step of getting significant relief, because you don't deserve this pain at all, okay? Period. And now my website is isabellathor.com. And yeah, I work with people one-on-one as well. And I think the biggest thing I give to people, and I don't mention this enough, is that even if you don't work with me, you can always come on a consultation call with me. It's free, 90 minutes. I give you a free comprehensive health assessment. We just look at all your body systems. I see how they're doing. And I show you what you need to prioritize first to get you the biggest progress forward towards recovering your pain-free periods or being able to have children if you're dealing with infertility. So yeah, even if you don't work with me, this is just a gift for everyone I see. And the goal is to get you started on doing something right away. And yeah, it's on isabellathor.com.
Wow, a free 90-minute?
Yeah.
That is, I mean, that is definitely dedication and passion.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
Like you said, even before we started, I was mentioning how you were doing charities on your podcast, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. And giving is the gift. So you get so much from giving as well. Absolutely, 100%.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the work that you do. Yes. And you're welcome back here anytime. It's definitely been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Dr. April. Likewise.
Okay, yes. We'll be back in a moment.
Join Vacation Counseling on the Christian Couples Retreat, September 13th through the 18th of 2024. Enter into a deeper connection with God and love and honor each other passionately in God's love. Dr. April Brown, intimacy and sex therapist and author of Improving Intimacy, and Dr. Jason Prendergast, licensed clinical pastoral counselor and reality TV show therapist, will lead you through Christian-based relationship and intimacy therapy, the Gottman Method, temperate therapy, group and private couples counseling, and enjoy intimate vows exchange, dancing, and boating excursions. For more information, call 239-565-6921. Book your Christian Couples Retreat today at vacationcounseling.com. Ignite the passion in your marriage.
Welcome back to the Bringing Intimacy show, where intimacy is real. Wow, that was just such a wonderful guest, Isabella Thor, on how to save 1 year of your life. And we had this great discussion about painful periods, about your body not feeling well, and pain. When you're in pain, it really means that your body needs help. And it doesn't necessarily mean that, oh my gosh, I need to mask it with painkillers. But she has the 7 layers of foundations, which was so great. I mean, talking about how nutrition, absorption, how, of course, the blood and sugar regulation, and how if you connect with her, she's going to spend 90 minutes with you to help you discover what are some things that may be useful and helpful for you. And definitely check her out. Check on going to her website at isabellathor.com and definitely sign up. Okay, and I would like to thank her again for being on the show. Okay, so upcoming. So for the next 2 weeks, we're going to take a break for the holidays. So we'll see you back on November 30th, and we're doing a new concept of intimacy giving. So I can't tell you what that's about, but I'm looking forward to doing that. On December 7th, we have Creating Connection, Bridging the Emotional Gap. And then on December 14th, we're going to talk about how pornography undermines intimacy and what happens and how to rebuild or rekindle your marriage. All right. I wish all of you a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. If you like what you heard, please hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, And I will see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Bringing Intimacy Back, where intimacy is real. You can also find us at bringingintimacyback.com, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Dr. April Brown's 7-book series, Improving Intimacy, is now on Amazon. We'll see you next Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Don't forget to follow, share, and subscribe.